I believe it was Colonel Jeff Cooper who said, and I'm sure about a dozen people will correct me if I'm wrong, but Colonel Jeff Cooper, I believe, said, only accurate rifles are interesting. This rifle right here is interesting, but in the wrong kind of way. All right, welcome back to the channel today. Thank you for joining me again. I've been out of pocket for the last month or so, actually. I had an elk hunt with Dad that turned out really cool. Didn't get an elk, unfortunately, but it was my first time going on a full-blown, you know, DIY elk hunt out in the bush of Arizona. The bush of Arizona. Had a lot of fun. We were out there for a total of 10 days, a couple days scouting, 7 days hunting, and it turned out to be a really cool hunt. See some good action. Got to see some elk and stuff in the wild. Got to take a shot at one. Dad did. Missed it. It was kind of a bad situation for shooting. It was one of the few opportunities we got. Late season elk hunt, late season rifle hunt that he had a tag for. So pretty countryside though. Man, it was absolutely beautiful. But today I want to talk to you about my elk rifle. What is going to be and is now my elk rifle for seasons coming up if I get a tag or whatever. And why I would not recommend this rifle here, this Bergara Wilderness B14, and why I would not buy this again. Okay, so I bought this rifle a couple months back, getting prepared for elk hunts and stuff like that in the West. Western game hunting rifle, longer ranges, heavier calibers, heavier game, and that, you know, my goal was to like put myself together a rifle, a factory rifle. I wasn't gonna build one from the ground up. I wanted a factory rifle that I could hunt all the game that I may encounter out here in Arizona or in the Western states. At longer ranges and in the type of environment you're going to be shooting here, which I got a really good, I guess, immersion in that with my first elk hunt with my dad that I just went on as a scout. I helped him scout and that kind of thing. So I got a really good immersion in what it takes and what is needed for a rifle here in the West. And this is after spending 10 days out there, which doesn't seem like a whole long time, and it's my first experience, but I got to talk to a lot of hunters and a lot of people that were camped around us or hunting the same kind of areas we were in the National Forest. And I met some really great people that had been hunting out there for years. Some that were new hunters. I actually got to witness and be there for a couple newer, younger shooters, young kids, and a lady from Phoenix that actually took their first elk of their life on their first hunt. And so getting out in the field and getting that experience and getting to be around those people and talk to them and just kind of walk through their experiences, walk the same ground they were walking and hunt in the same areas and type of, you know, terrain that they were hunting, it gave me a really good and better understanding of what it takes to hunt elk in this environment here. And so I'm happy with the choice I made so far as the caliber, the cartridge, the 7 PRC. Just given my experiences as a shooter and what I witnessed out there in the field, I'm like, yeah, okay, 7 PRC is a great cartridge for this. It's gonna be a great cartridge for elk hunting. I don't regret that at all. I am quickly becoming a fanatic for the heavy 7mm caliber itself at higher velocities, say in the 28-2900 feet per second range, given the environment I'll be hunting in most of the time when I do get a tag. I'm really like sold, like, yeah, 7mm is the way to go for me. Like, that's what I want for my hunt when I get to it out here on my own tags and stuff like that. So the Bergara though, B14 Wilderness Sierra is what I bought months back and had accuracy problems right out of the gate. Like, none of the factory ammo I shot through it would get anywhere close to 1 minute of angle, not even 2 minutes usually. I was getting very, very consistently horrible groups. We're talking 2, 3, 4 minutes plus with all the factory options I tried. So that was a little frustrating, and I swapped out the stock. Now I will say, let me just say right off the bat, this is not a Bergara bash because this is the first Bergara I've ever bought. I've had the CVA rifles in the past and I've really loved them. This is the first Bergara I bought, and I like the quality, the fit, finish, and function of the rifle. The triggers are fantastic. The stocks are even well designed and well thought out. They're just not well fitted so far as bedding and bed pillars and all those things. And so right off the bat, I noticed that stock was a problem. I swapped that out for a field stock, and I did notice a gain in accuracy. So that was good. Even with the factory ammo, there was an incremental gain in accuracy. It didn't put me down in that 1 minute to 1.5 minute category, which to me is kind of like the acceptable minimum range of precision for a hunting rifle. of this caliber and in this environment out here where ranges may be longer. Okay, you may be shooting at longer ranges, and I definitely got firsthand experience and knowledge of that this trip. Like, okay, yeah, I need something I can reach out a little bit further with. No question about it. When you're going through the junipers and stuff like that and cruising through the flats, you are going to bump up on animals that are within 100 yards a lot, and may have to take a quick shot at game, which just about any common high caliber rifle will work for. But what we actually witness and experience is in the distances from spotting and glassing positions and stalking positions and stuff like that is like, okay, having the heavier caliber, harder hitting Magnum style rifle is going to be a big bonus out here for hunting. The 7 PRC I think fits the bill nicely. The Bergara rifle that I bought, accuracy wise, just doesn't live up though to what I was expecting and what I wanted out of it to begin with. So I switched the stock out, got a little bit of a gain, and I started reloading for it. On the reloading front, I have managed to dial in some very precise loads for this. We're talking sub-minute, getting close to half-minute. I have gotten a few. I've gotten a few groups, let's put it that way. Out of all the myriad of loads and stuff I've tried, I think I'm well over 40 to 50 loads now through this rifle. Different types of bullets, different types of powder, all that good stuff. And 2 different types of brass. So I haven't really delved into the brass a whole lot, which I'm gonna explore that a little bit more going forward, because I'm gonna keep the rifle. At the end of the day, I am gonna keep it, this Bergara Sierra Wilderness. I am gonna keep it. I am gonna keep using it for my hunting gun, but it's gonna be a very specific use case scenario, and it's gonna be a very, very specific load only that I'll shoot through this thing. And that's my problem. I haven't had a rifle this finicky with loads and with accuracy in years that I can remember. You know, even a kind of mid-grade rifle or mid-grade, mid-accuracy rifle can consistently produce 2-minute or less or 1.5 minute less groups with a broad range of projectiles and loads. Okay, even like what I would consider a poor rifle, a bad rifle, not a great rifle, but an average or meh rifle, you can still get 1.5-minute groups out of them. You can still get 2-minute groups out of them with a really broad range of loads and factory ammo and stuff like that. I have not found that with this Bergara specifically. It has only given me very small, narrow windows of accuracy with very, very specific narrow groups of bullets and powder combinations and loads. Okay, and none of the factory stuff. None of the factory stuff has even come close to 2 minutes or less. Nothing I've tried. And I got tired of spending money on factory ammo, honestly, because I was just gonna reload anyway. So when it comes to reloading this thing, I have found accurate nodes. I have found accurate bullets. I have found accurate powders that'll get me sub-minute. And I've got the data now to prove it. Like, okay, I know that I can get a couple of groups out of this stuff that are sub-minute. So the rifle is capable of it. But for something to need such a specific and dialed in and perfected batch of loading just to make it shoot what I would be considered a kind of industry standard 1 minute of angle, that to me nowadays with modern machining and stuff like that, 1 minute of angle should be a standard. 1 MOA, and it's a guarantee that they, Bergara even puts on their rifle platforms is, sub-minute guarantee accuracy or whatever, 1 minute, whatever. It's not even coming close to that outside of hand loading. That's my problem. Like, there's no way to make this rifle that I have, this one specifically that I have, even after all I did to it was switching the stock, recrowning the thing, all the tightening and all the things, did all that multiple times. Honestly, I check it every time I go to the range now just to make sure everything's cool. And I shouldn't have to do that. That's my problem, is like, I should not actually have to go through that rigmarole every stinking time I go to the range with this thing to make sure that there's no other mechanical issues that are gonna affect the accuracy of this thing, because it just hates ammo in general. That's a problem. The rifle is really well made so far as the way it looks. The action is smooth. The trigger's fantastic. I love the triggers on these things. The barrel profile and all that stuff, it looks like it's machined well, but the rifle is just not accurate with a broad range of loads, bullets, or powders. That's a problem for me. Even some of my, best rifles that I have, like some of my top tier rifles, yes, they do have accuracy issues. They're not going to shoot everything well. I've experienced that with rifles enough to know, like, no one rifle is going to shoot everything you put through it perfectly. I've got rifles that I can punch 1/4 minute groups with, but if I put factory ammo in them, they're going to be 1 minute, 1 1/4 minute. But that's an acceptable range to me. Like, okay, it's a premium rifle shooting my premium loads, and I can get it in that premium accuracy category and profile. That's great. I know I can expect that, but I even know if I throw some garbage dump factory ammo in it, I can still get around a minute and make hits out to 1,000 yards with it. That's a confidence inspiring rifle to me. That's an interesting rifle. That's an accurate rifle. This Bergara Sierra Wilderness does not live up to that. There are only, of the over 40, I'd say 40 plus loads I've put through it so far, there's only 2 that I've shot that I've gotten consistently down to 1 MOA or better. Okay, so consistently. Some of them I've punched really, really tight groups with, like one with the Berger hybrid target bullets and one with the Hornady 180 ELDMs. Those are the 2 bullets that I've had the best luck with out of this thing. And I have got at least 3 to 4 groups for each of those bullets in the half minute to 3/4 minute category. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's great. I know I can shoot those. I'm gonna load more of those. I'm gonna shoot. That's what I'm gonna shoot in this rifle. With my hunting ammo, my 175 ABLR, I've gotten some groups that are down about the 1 minute and 1 MOA group size, and that to me, again, perfectly acceptable for hunting. It's a wonderful, you know, confidence inspiring bullet. You know, if you hit game with this thing, it's gonna do the damage to do what you need to do to take the game down. So that 1 MOA cap or threshold for a hunting bullet, to me, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that, and I've got a load that works for that now. But it took a long stinking time to get to that load, and it took so many different load variations to dial it in. And even with that load, now that I've got my 3 top loads ironed out, they aren't always consistent either. This is the problem. And some of that's the brass, okay? So I'm gonna be switching over to Peterson brass and see if I can't bring the consistency back down. But I have loads that I've shot, like the 180 ELDMs. I've got a load with Ramshot Grand, which is okay velocities. I mean, and a lot of this is in context of the velocity profile I want too, okay? So lower velocities in this rifle, I've gotten some a little bit better accuracy, you know, potential with some of the loads, more consistent accuracy with some of the loads at lower velocities, but I'm looking for a little bit higher velocities than 2,700 feet per second, because quite frankly, I can do that with a 7mm08 if I need to. This is a 7 PRC. We should be getting more stank out of this thing. So the velocities have been really low. The velocities in the factory ammo were horrible. We're talking 200 to 300 foot per second spreads in velocity box to box. That's not good. So higher velocity profiles, sub-minute, round a minute, a minute and a quarter, I've got those groups dialed in, but the problem I'm still finding is that even with a dialed in load, as I load more of them, same process, same powder, same charge, same everything, go back out and shoot them again, sometimes I get inconsistency. I get these weird flyers and stuff like that. That opens a group up to 1.5 to 2 minutes, but still occasionally weird flyer. Some of that is maybe shooter mechanics, you know, just my familiarity with the rifle. I will say this rifle is not hard to shoot. It is not unpleasant to shoot. It doesn't have a lot of fuss. It does not feel like a Magnum to me. And I've shot Magnums in the past and I've compared it to other Magnums and stuff like that. And the 7 PRC is actually pretty mild. I don't really know what all the fuss is for people saying, oh, it's a banger and a kicker. It's really not. This is a mild caliber for a Magnum. It's not unpleasant to shoot at all. I don't usually find myself being recoil sensitive no matter what the case is. Some of it can be attributed to shooter, you know, confidence with the system. That's me. But even still, knowing myself and how I shoot, you know, without a false humble brag bullcrap statement like most people say, like, when I do my part and when I'm doing my job and if I can do it together, you know, I'm a decent shot and I know I am and I know how to shoot, and that's all there is to it. Like I know how to shoot, and I know when I mess up. You know, that's another thing, is maturity as a shooter, being able to identify, hey, I messed that shot up, or I'm letting this thing beat me up, or I'm letting this thing intimidate me. Because I've shot rifles like that before, like 300 Win mags and stuff without a break, and it's like, okay, I'm letting this rifle intimidate me, and I'm not getting the best groups that I should out of it. With this particular rifle, it's actually really pleasant to shoot. It's a lot of fun to shoot. I have a great time shooting this rifle, and if I could afford the ammo, I'd go shoot it every day. Especially at long range with that 7mm bullet. It's like the easy button. When your loads are somewhat close to dialed in, and you're shooting longer ranges with this thing, it is like the easy button. 7mm is like ding, 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 ding. It's not hard to make hits, even in stiff winds and stuff like that. So the caliber overall, I can't blame it on the cartridge. I can't blame this whole problem on the cartridge. Some of it is just load development, like you've got to work loads out for some rifles for them to shoot better, but overall I think this rifle is a bust. This Bergara Wilderness in 7 PRC for me is a bust. It is not something that I would ever recommend, hey, go buy this off the shelf, you'll be happy. It's not. I haven't found any factory loads that work with this. A lot of people are not reloaders, and they're not gonna be, and that's part of the problem. I just wouldn't recommend it. That bottom line for me is the inconsistency across the board, regardless of whether it's factory or hand loaded, and all the different bullet combinations and powders I've gone through. This is not a very interesting rifle. It's just not. I can make it work for my purposes. I have dialed in. I have the, I guess the luxury of doing that because I'm a hand loader. So I have the luxury of being able to make a really inaccurate rifle, make some loads for it that will shoot accurately in it most of the time, and I can accomplish the goal that I have for it. And the goal is just simply hunting. This is not a long range precision, you know, target rifle at all, and it's not even capable of it. So going forward, I'm gonna keep the rifle, and I may put a new barrel on it eventually and just kind of tweak it that way, use it as a donor and use it as a project rifle. If I had to hunt with it today, I would. With the loads I've developed very specifically, just those loads in a very specific distance. I wouldn't even try anything past 600 yards with this rifle and these loads that I've got and the environments. And that's given now my time and experience with the environments that I would be hunting, the units and stuff like that in Arizona I visited and scouted in, and the shots you would get to take and could take, and you know, like the capabilities of some of the shots or the likelihood of some of the shots you'd see just based on, you know, scouting and glassing and watching the elk for that time frame we were out there. Like, okay, I could use this rifle for this hunt and it would be successful if I took a shot, most likely, you know what I mean, unless I really screwed something up. But confidently I could do that. At the end of the day though, I just wouldn't recommend somebody just go buy this thing off the shelf and put a scope on it, grab factory ammo and go to town. It's not the one I would recommend for that. Maybe something like a Savage 110 Timberline. Kind of wishing I'd have gone that route now. Or, to be fair, and I do want to do this, the Bergara Pro Series, their Pro line, their, you know, top tier stuff, I think maybe would probably be a little better rifle to try. If you were going to go with a Bergara, this Wilderness Sierra, I know people's experiences are going to be different because I have several people commented and said, like, I've got one of those rifles and it works great. I'm glad, like I really am. Like, Bergara's a good company. They are a good company. They have a pretty decent reputation. They make a quality rifle. And I'm glad for people that have great experiences with them. But I've also had if not an equal or a greater amount of people say that, yeah, I've had the same problems with 7 PRCs and Bergaras in the B14 line. Haven't had too many people say to me that the Pro line has much problems because the Pro line is a much better, I guess, barrel, being stainless and stuff like that. They're gonna have a better barrel quality. They're gonna have better action quality. They're gonna have probably better stocks on them too. The stocks in the Pro stuff are pretty nice. They have, I think, an HMR stock, which with bedding blocking and stuff like that, so factory could work really, even B14, you know, the factory HMR I think could work really well. I didn't try that rifle. I just went with the Wilderness Sierra. I might, if I had just extra cash laying around, buy the B14 with the HMR and try it with the higher grade stock, maybe. But I'm just not getting the confidence out of this action in this barrel in the B14 in this caliber, this cartridge specifically, that I wanted and expected. So I do know a lot of people that have the Wilderness Sierras in smaller calibers, you know, short actions and that kind of stuff, and they have great luck with them. Maybe there's just an issue with this cartridge specifically in the long action and the barrels and all that stuff with the 7 PRC that isn't there with some of the other calibers that are out there and the SAMI specs and all those good things. I don't really know what to attribute it to. The 7 PRC is still so new, and it seems to be such a mixed bag of results that people are getting out of it outside of how actually real capable the cartridge really is. Like the 7mm cartridge, 7mm caliber with the heavier bullets and higher velocities is an extremely deadly caliber. It is extremely deadly. It's extremely long range, and confidence inspiring, definitely. And it's easy to shoot. It's not it's not as, abrupt to shoot as something like the 300 Win mags are and stuff like that, or your 28 nozzlers even, if you compare it to that. 28 nozzler is a mule kicker, man. It'll beat you to death. Great caliber, but it will beat you up. Going forward, that's just my rant on this one. I would not recommend this rifle specifically. It's kind of hard to say. That's gonna hurt somebody's feelings out there, but it's just the truth of my experience, and it's my opinion. Okay, it's not a bag on Bergara overall. I think the company personally, I'm gonna give them a second chance and give their rifles a second chance, maybe try something different. I've had great results with their CVA Cascade, which is the sister company to Bergara. And they make the actions, I think they make the actions and barrels in the same factory in Spain. So I've had great luck with those. 6.5 Creedmoor 308, that kind of stuff. Fantastic luck. I love those. They're really great. Even with the factory stocks on them. I haven't actually, none of the Cascades I've shot or used or have or owned, have I swapped out the stocks on them. Left them factory, and I had pretty dang good results with them. So that's just it for me going forward with Bergara B14 Wilderness Sierra. That's a no for me. I'll try something else though. What do y'all think? What are your experiences? Thank you for watching again. I've got more video content coming out. I'm gonna put out some stuff about the elk hunt. I got a lot of good footage while I was out there. Really beautiful vistas and stuff like that. It was just a beautiful experience. Glad to get to go. Glad to get to spend the time with Dad. Didn't get to take an animal. That's the name of the game though. That's just how it goes. Dad's shot a lot of elk lately and a lot of bigger game in the last few years anyway, so he wasn't too sad because he's got some fresh game on the walls anyway. So with that, thank you for joining me again. Y'all have a Merry Christmas, and I will get some new content out in the next couple weeks. Probably gonna take the next week off and just recoup and recover and stuff like that. Had a little bit of run-in with Fish and Game that I am gonna do a video on soon, but I have to wait for some information back from the lawyer first before I do that. But y'all be safe, stay sharp, and happy hunting.